Hello and welcome to a new series of Earthrise. It's pretty calm, albeit rather windy out here amongst Qatar's mangrove forests, but there has been a real sense of urgency, making this in the middle of a pandemic that's brought the world to its knees, and which started because we have been bringing nature to its knees. COVID-19 is just one of many illnesses that has spilled over to us from wildlife, as we quite frankly plunder the natural world and come into closer contact with viruses found there. Ebola, SARS, HIV/AIDS, 3 out of 4 emerging infectious diseases come from animals, and one surfaces every 4 months. So the need to safeguard wild spaces like this one and to protect nature for its survival and our own has never been clearer. But the pandemic has also generated a desire for a green recovery, and that's what we're about here at Earthrise, solutions to the environmental crisis. We're starting this series by looking at protecting wildlife and therefore helping to prevent future outbreaks. Now, the exact origins of COVID-19 are unknown, but investigations have been carried out into the likes of bats and pangolins. And some species of these mammals are amongst the 1 million plants and animals threatened with extinction. But there is hope. In Vietnam, we meet the team rehabilitating trafficked pangolins. And in southern India, locals are defending the only remaining home of one critically endangered bat.
Nearly 1 in 5 mammals in the world is a bat. And the rumors that surround their existence are perhaps as extensive as the bat family itself. Associations with darkness and evil, witches and vampires, including Count Dracula, have led generations to see these flying creatures as sinister. But the granite hills of Kolar are home to a unique bat conservation story. For decades, quarrying devastated this land, leaving it scarred and degraded. But that was forced to stop when a colony of bats was discovered in a cave in these hills, belonging to a species so rare that it was thought to be extinct. I've come to Karnataka in India to find out how conservationists and locals took on the mining industry to win protected status for this land, the last remaining home in the world of the Kolar leaf-nosed bat. Only around 200 of these bats exist here in the Kolar Conservation Reserve. It is also home to 5 other bat species, the majority of which reside in a tiny cave in the rock face. I'm meeting with bat biologist Rohit Chakravarti and citizen scientist Rajesh Puttaswamaya. Hi! So great to finally meet you. Hi, nice to meet you. Today they are capturing bats using mist nets and collecting DNA samples. As night falls, these nocturnal animals begin to emerge out of the cave, flying into the soft nets.
The place of the wing from where I'm taking the punch, it will regrow in 3 weeks' time.
Okay. It's remarkable to be able to see an endangered bat like this one up close. Wow. Bats play a vital role in ecosystems, including pollination and controlling pests. The Kolar leaf-nosed bat eats thousands of insects each day. But threats including habitat loss and hunting have left 21 species of bats critically endangered globally, including this one.
These bats have evolved over 30 million years, and scientists believe their leaf-nosed structure helps them in hunting and detecting prey even in complete darkness.
It's been proposed that bats have links not only to COVID-19 but also to other zoonotic diseases, which can spread from animals to humans, including Ebola and SARS. This is why the destruction of their habitat has potential public health consequences.
It's only when people start destroying forests and directly or indirectly come in contact with bats and their habitats, that's when these zoonotic diseases break out.
So it's not the bat itself, but what we do to it that actually threatens us as a species.
Exactly.
Bats use a technique called echolocation that allows them to navigate using sound. They emit sound waves of very high frequency, which bounce off objects, enabling them to quickly establish what is in their vicinity.
If you've seen small bats fly around streetlights, you should just observe the speed at which they catch insects, the angle at which their prey is, whether it's prey, whether it's predator, whether it's object, or whether it's another bat. So they do all these calculations in 3 to 5 milliseconds, which is way faster than any supercomputer.
The more I find out, the more I fall in love with them, honestly.
That's what the world needs right now.
Fearing the spread of COVID-19, people have attacked bats around the world. In March 2020 in Solo, Indonesia, hundreds of bats in a wildlife market were culled on orders of the mayor. And in May 2020, authorities issued directives to protect bats across the state of Rajasthan in India after more than 150 were killed there. The Kolar region is one of India's granite mining hubs. The miners would still be on the hill were it not for the determination of bat scientist Dr. Bhargavi Srinivasulu, who discovered a colony of Kolar leaf-nosed bats inside the cave in 2013. The species hadn't been spotted in several decades.
We found the roosting site of this bat, and we found that there was mining, large-scale mining happening, lots of trucks on this hill, and the mining had come to almost 100 meters near the roosting site. So immediately we alerted the local authorities first and also the local communities. We also ran a signature campaign with the villagers with our continued protest that we need to stop mining. A ban on mining happened in January 2015.
And an area of 223 acres was declared a conservation reserve in 2019, finally bringing protection to this critical bat habitat.
These are the cut marks that you can notice over here of the mining that was happening back then, because there is no disturbance at all. The habitat is healing, and the first signs of healing is the presence of grasses all around us.
I mean, it just goes to show that when you give a land the time to heal, it will bounce back. Have you seen a difference in the number of bats, and are they coming back to their old roosting spots?
The bats had stopped using the secondary roosting sites because they were smoked out by the miners. Since the mining ban has happened, we have seen that they are coming back to those roosting sites, and their populations have also increased wonderfully well.
And do you think their populations will continue to grow?
Yes.
Because they're kind of reclaiming lost land in a sense.
Yes, exactly.
Various species of birds, deer, and even predators like leopards have been sighted in this landscape in the recent past, all because of the protection that a bat brought in. Today, Rohit and I are heading inside the cave to try recording the high-frequency vocalizations of the Kolar leaf-nosed bats using an ultrasound recording device. We'll be getting right up close to them. The cave is less than a meter high and 15 meters deep. I'm pretty sure there are no claustrophobic bat scientists. That was right next to my face. So cool.
Look at how docile they are. I mean,
no, they're so peaceful.
We are the ones who are trapped here, but none of them are attacking contrary to popular belief.
Dracula does not exist.
So here's the bat detector. And you can see the axis goes from 10 to 200 kilohertz. So this is frequency over here, this is time.
So this spectrogram represents the sounds that the bats are making right now?
Yes, that's 8 to 9 times more than higher than what we can hear. Did you hear that? Wow! Amazing, no? That's the Kolar leaf-nosed bat.
The Kolar leaf-nosed bat has a distinct call which can be used to identify it amongst other bats in the cave. To hear it without disturbance, I need to put earphones on. There's a couple of them calling right now. You know, when I put these earphones on, I can hear these bat vocalizations that sound almost alien. But as soon as I take them off, I can hear the sounds of the communities who live nearby, of the farmers who live alongside bats. I mean, if there's any evidence of the fact that bats and humans can coexist together seamlessly, this soundscape is exactly that. This reserve would not have been possible without the support of the community here, some of whom have become rangers.
ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆಯಿಂದ ಗಸ್ತು ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ರಾತ್ರಿನೂ ಮತ್ತೆ ಪ್ಯಾಟ್ರೋಲಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹಳ್ಳಿ ಜನ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಲ್ಲು ಹೊಡೆಯೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ, ಅವ್ರನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಕಳಿಸ್ತೀವಿ ಹೊರಗಡೆ.
Jameen and Bharat come from local farming villages around the reserve.
ಮತ್ತೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ರೈತರೆಲ್ಲ ಖುಷಿ ಬೀಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಕ್ರಿಮಿಕೀಟಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ಬಾವಿಗಳು ತಿಂದು
ಇದೊಂದು ಮಾದರಿ ಗ್ರಾಮವಾಗಿ ಕನ್ಸರ್ವೇಷನ್ ಇದನ್ನು ಪ್ರೊಟೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಪ್ರಪಂಚಕ್ಕೆ ಮಾದರಿ ಆಗೋ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇದನ್ನು ಪ್ರೊಟೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ.
Managing perceptions around a vilified species takes concerted effort, especially when public hostility to them runs high. Protecting bats in the 21st century will entail engaging with the local communities who live alongside bats. And awareness workshops like this with the next generation can make all the difference. Very good.
First bat garu tumba ನೋಡಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂಥರ ದೆವ್ವ ತರ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಿದೆ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಭಯ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು. ಇವಾಗ ಬ್ಯಾಟ್ಸ್ ಏನು ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಾದಿದ್ದಕ್ಕೆ ಅದು ಭಯ ಪಡಲ್ಲ ಇವಾಗ.
My time here has left me with renewed optimism about the survival of the kolar leaf-nosed bat, now that its only home has been safeguarded for the future. If anything, this pandemic has heightened the need to fiercely protect every last corner of habitat that we're left with, and newly protected areas like kolar are a step in the right direction.
So we're all still reeling from the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. Remember what we said earlier? That a new infectious disease emerges every 4 months. Well, scientists estimate there are 1.7 million viruses yet to be discovered in mammals and birds, and around half of those could cross over to humans. Now, whether or not that happens, it's really down to us.
Any given species of animal has viruses and bacteria that circulate within that population of animals. And these are viruses that have grown up with that animal over evolutionary time, to the point where they've come to an understanding. And through normal interactions, different animal species might exchange viruses or bacteria if those pathogens are able to jump from one animal to another. Human activities like agricultural intensification, expansion of farming systems, deforestation and land use change, even the wildlife trade, where we're moving wildlife out of their natural environment and moving them around the world. These are the types of activities that bring people into closer contact with wildlife and create opportunity for those viruses that normally would circulate within wild animal populations to make the jump into people. And that can happen directly or via domestic animals. And once a virus successfully makes the jump from animals into people, then if it's able to spread from person to person, it has the opportunity to do that through social interactions. Locally, where a local outbreak might occur, but really because we're connected globally more so than we ever have been in history, all it takes is a person getting on an airplane carrying a new zoonotic virus, and that virus moves from one location to many locations, and it's how a localized epidemic becomes a global pandemic. It's almost guaranteed that we're going to see another large-scale epidemic or even a pandemic, whether it's a coronavirus or another type of zoonotic virus, as long as we're continuing to do the types of activities around the world that allow these viruses to jump from wild animals into people. We need to stop thinking about epidemics as random chance events that we're victims of. We're directly influencing and have the power to prevent pandemics from occurring. We need to make better choices and do things to protect ecosystems and the natural environment around us, which is ultimately going to protect our own health and security.
Now, the global wildlife trade, as we've heard, is one of the things increasing the risk of animal viruses coming into contact with humans. And since the start of the pandemic, the calls to ban it have become louder. But no regulation, of course, will stop the illegal wildlife trade. And that's estimated to be worth up to $23 billion each year, and it's driving a number of animals to extinction. Our next stop is Vietnam, to meet conservationists protecting one of the trafficking's most vulnerable victims.
Pangolins have been roaming the earth for at least 45 million years, but now they are threatened with extinction. Despite an international trade ban, nearly 1 million have been trafficked over the past 2 decades, with many of them being used in traditional medicines or served as highly prized meat.
One of the busiest crossroads for this illicit trade is Vietnam. I'm here to visit a team of conservationists who are racing against time to save the world's only truly scaly mammal.
Hanoi, the bustling capital of Vietnam, far removed from the natural habitat of a shy, sensitive wild animal. But behind closed doors, illegal trade in pangolins continues here, even with the country's tough wildlife protection laws and the Prime Minister calling for their strict enforcement after the COVID-19 outbreak.
I'm on my way to the center of Hanoi, a popular destination for people looking for traditional Chinese medicines. I hear it's not hard to find the animal's scales here for a range of health issues, from arthritis to lactation problems.
I'm going undercover with our producer who's got a hidden camera. We'll tell the shopkeepers I'm seeking remedies for my sister who has just had a baby and is having trouble breastfeeding. We try 6 stores. The shopkeepers either tell us they don't sell scales because it's illegal or say they have them but get suspicious. Then we find some. Đây này có mới không cô?
Mới đấy, cái này hàng nó mới là vừa sau tháng 6 đó, nó làm nhà hàng của nó bán tê với bán con tê làm thịt đấy, có 7 gram. Dạ. Nhưng mà cái này đắt thì là bao nhiêu? Anh này 70 gram nhé, phải bán cho mình số này 700. Bán cho ông 1 triệu, bằng 10 lạng.
The pangolin is one of the world's most trafficked wild mammals. Vietnam is home to 2 of its 8 species, the Chinese and the Sunda pangolin. Both are critically endangered globally, and their numbers are thought to have fallen by 80% or more in recent decades. Wildlife Trade Monitoring Network, Traffic, estimates that between 2016 and 20, nearly 90 tons of the animal scales seized globally were linked to Vietnam. But there is still hope for this disappearing mammal. I am traveling south of Hanoi to Cúc Phương National Park, where a local NGO is working tirelessly to rescue and release pangolins.
Chào anh, Phoebe ạ, chào anh.
Chào Phoebe, anh là Thái, giám đốc của Vietnam Wildlife.
Ty and his team have returned nearly 1,000 pangolins to the wild since 2014 and are preparing to release another 7 over the next few days. There are currently 20 at the center, all rescued from trafficking networks within Vietnam and other Southeast Asian countries. Many of the animals that come here are weak, dehydrated, and have serious injuries. Like this one, Pangolin 1588, identified by the last few digits of his code number at the center. This 7-year-old lost part of his front paw after being caught in a trap. He's now ready to be released.
Khi chuyển về đây thì cái cá thể TT này đã được chăm sóc phục hồi cái chân đấy, và sau đấy là mang ra cái khu vực bán hoang dã để thả và tập xem khả năng leo trèo, khả năng tìm kiếm thức ăn của nó. Và sau khoảng 3-4 tháng ở ngoài khu vực bán hoang dã thì cá thể này thể hiện rất là tốt, có cái khả năng tái thả lại tự nhiên.
Công việc cũng khá vất vả, tại sao anh vẫn tiếp tục làm nó?
Mình rất là yêu quý cái loài động vật như TT này. Động vật hoang dã ở Việt Nam thì đang bị suy giảm, và TT là một trong những loài mà đang dần biến mất. Nếu mà chúng ta không chung tay vào làm thì chúng ta sẽ bị mất đi cái loài động vật nó có yêu quý này mãi mãi.
With numbers plummeting, each pangolin baby offers new hope. Yet, their survival rate at the center is low, with many born prematurely to females that arrive pregnant but injured and stressed. Since 2014, only 10 out of 23 made it. This female, now 3 months old, is a welcome addition.
Cá thể TT mẹ thì là nạn nhân của một vụ buôn bán vận chuyển trái phép vào đầu năm 2020. Thì khi mà được chuyển về đây thì sau một đợt kiểm tra sức khỏe trước khi tái thả ấy, thì bên mình có phát hiện là bạn mẹ này, bạn tê cái này đang mang thai khá là lớn. Chính vì thế là bên mình quyết định là giữ bạn tê cái này lại, chờ bạn ấy sinh con.
This is the only baby at the center right now, growing more independent by the day. She'll be able to breed herself within a year.
Thì cá thể tê con này khá là linh hoạt rồi và đang tập leo trèo cây khá là tốt rồi. Và nó có thể đi độc lập ở trong chuồng mà không cần đi với mẹ rồi. Trước đây thì hầu hết các cái thời gian là nó bám ở trên đuôi của mẹ nó, và khi mẹ di chuyển đâu thì nó bám trên đuôi của mẹ nó.
Pangolins are mostly nocturnal, and as night falls, it's time to prepare their first meal.
Các cái tủ lạnh này thì chứa các cái thức ăn cho tê tê. Các cái cá thể tê tê ở trong trung tâm thì ăn khoảng 300 gram kiến mỗi ngày. Mất tê tê thì có thể là dẫn đến những cái quần thể mối và kiến ở đâu đó nó phát triển một cách quá mức và dẫn đến chúng ta không kiểm soát được, nó lại ảnh hưởng đến các cái loài khác.
I'm joining 1588 for his dinner, or rather, breakfast. Amputated pangolins don't always recover well enough to be released, so he is one of the lucky ones. Not many meals to go here before he has to find his own in the wild. Save Vietnam's Wildlife releases pangolins in protected areas, which are patrolled by forest ranger teams. These need to be on constant alert to ensure the animals don't fall prey to their most dangerous enemy, poachers. But there is another threat the rangers will need to look out for: pathogens. No evidence has been found that COVID-19 originated from pangolins, but some have been known to carry coronaviruses related to the one behind the disease. Today, the rangers are being trained to take samples from animals they encounter in the wild to aid ongoing research efforts on the potential spillover of disease. The specimen for today's training is a dead stork.
Mình cần phải làm cái gì để có thể giảm thiểu cái khả năng một đại dịch nữa diễn ra?
Mình có thể thực hiện nhiều nghiên cứu khoa học về dịch bệnh động vật trên hoang dã. Khi mà chính phủ và cộng đồng có được những thông tin chính xác đầy đủ thì thường họ sẽ có những quyết định đúng đắn.
Back at the center, it's the big day. Final health checks have been done, microchips attached, and pangolin 1588 and 6 others are ready to be released.
Theo các cái nghiên cứu của mình thì là đến gần 100% cái cá thể tê tê tái thả lại thì chúng đều sống sót và hòa đồng tốt trong cái môi trường tự nhiên.
We're going to begin our 5-hour journey to a national park in central Vietnam, where the pangolins are going to be released under tight security tonight.
Thì mình có một cái cảm xúc và một cái tình cảm rất là đặc biệt đối với những cái loài này. Mình cảm nhận được cái sự đau đớn, những cái sự biến mất của các cái loài này thực sự rất là nhanh.
The first pangolin we set free is 1588.
Mỗi cái cá thể mà được tái thả thì luôn luôn là một cái niềm vui và hạnh phúc lớn nhất của những cái người mà làm về công tác cứu hộ.
I've only been here for a few days, but during that time, I've really seen how vulnerable these creatures are. So this is a really special moment. I just hope they don't end up as trafficking statistics. With so few pangolins left in the world, everyone that survives in the wild really counts.
The COVID-19 pandemic has revealed only too clearly how our health depends on the planet's. But it's also shown that nature can thrive given half a chance. During lockdowns the world over, there were sightings of animals reclaiming open spaces as we retreated into our homes. Dolphins frolicked in the Bosphorus in Istanbul in Turkey. Pumas prowled through Santiago, Chile. Mountain goats roamed the streets of the Welsh town of Llandudno in the UK. And as beaches emptied out, threatened turtles nested in unusually high numbers in the US, Thailand, Turkey, and here in Qatar. These glimpses of nature at ease were relatively common during lockdown, and they served to remind us that we must renegotiate our relationship with the natural world and fight for the lives of our fellow creatures on Earth as if our own depend on it. Because as COVID-19 has shown us, they really do.